So we are pleased to be here today. We will show you up one simple case where we automate the process in the warehouse, as many of you, most of you, let's say, have in your responsibility as well. It will be, let's say, probably the easy case, saying at the end, when you understand a bit of all options you can find today, and you decide for how quickly you can implement and really use in real life the automation or robotation as such, as a technology combined with the software in a daily operation. That will be, let's say, our showcase, and let's enjoy. What I represent is the online food company called Rohlik, coming from Czech Republic, in Germany known by Knusper, being active already in several cities in the Europe, altogether 10 cities, 15 warehouses. In Germany, mostly located in Munich, Frankfurt, Berlin so far. In Berlin, after the successful integration and takeover from Bringmeister, integrating those days into the Knusper value proposition and launching in next weeks for the, Rohlik style as we plan. We grow 30%, let's say, even after the COVID time, year on year. We getting closer to 1 billion euro sales and serving, let's say, over the 12 million orders a year by reaching more than 20 million inhabitants in 10 cities where we are present. As I said, we are coming originally from Czech Republic, but in fact we are located in 10 cities currently. And when we look at the scale and growth, then in fact, let's say we have two drivers. One, growing means we have to enable the growth by more efficient processes, therefore automation, and being already in 10 cities, respectively 15 warehouses, and growing, we need also to standardize the processes again to enable the growing aspect. So robotation and automation are in fact the key drivers for us, in fact, to grow and be successful. When we look at the operations as such, or at least as we look at the operations, we try to be active in all areas that you might also see here on the exhibition, correct? So we look at the automation, we look at the AI, and we use so many AI applications, controlling, planning, dynamically recalculating, notifying, alarming, or automating also the processes that normally, let's say, people should do. So automation is normally people tend to say it's a hardware, so robot, and then the software. But in fact, in our company, it starts with the software, and then we look for the hardware that can support also manual activities, either in the warehouse or also in the last mile. And in fact, let's say this is the main reason for the showcase. So when we talk about automating the processes, so our warehouse is very similar to any warehouses of your companies or across the other branches. We do the inbound and outbound, we handle the goods, we are food, so yes, we have, let's say, multi-channel, multi-temperature channel assortment, so yes, there is a certain sophistication and complexity, chilled, ambient, frozen, bakery. We bake the stuff. We have an open market for the fruit and vegetable, and it has to come at one point of time together, loaded to the car and going to the customer, coming on time. We also deliver, let's say, in 1 hour. We deliver, let's say, on 15 minutes time slot, so we have to be precise. So all the process is correct. Let's say, has to be somehow well developed, well connected, automated, and of course at the end, volume. Even the people, let's say, might be efficient. Simply at one point of time, the automation as a hardware is the only way how to combine and balance people, let's say, and the technology to be efficient as well. Introduction, that you a little bit understand, let's say, what we have as a task, where is it coming from, what drives us. Now, looking at I was looking now for the video, is the next one. Okay, now looking at the metrics, or maybe the solution itself. You will see on the next slide, you will see the video, what we have been talking about. So we're talking about, let's say, the automation of expedition process. Now, technology, you will see, it's better, let's say, to see than to introduce. Technology from the Brightpick company. But here you might see, in fact, let's say, why we do the automation and why we do it with the Brightpick. So mostly, you always see on a selection of the right technology, giving you availability and performance. Then being able to scale, being able to very quickly to implement. And when we now, let's say, talk about the facts, after, let's say, piloting the system with a Brightpick, that took us 6 months. Then we decided to roll it out, rolling that out in Munich warehouse, in the ambient area. And we did the project in 3 months. In 3 months, we were able to reorganize the expedition, implement the shelves, put the robots in, make up the infrastructure. Of course, the software we develop in the meantime, doing the pilot. And then, in total, 6 months pilot, 3 months implementation, we were able to go into the real production in 9 months with the fully automated distribution zone or area of our warehouse. And this is what we, let's say, tend to say implementation fast. So whatever we can implement in 6 months is exactly what we go for. What takes longer, we simply review or, let's say, rethink if this is the right approach or not. So this is the technology that we're talking about. In this case, it's they are autonomous robots. Means they drive wherever you say they should be driving. They do, in fact, let's say, 2 activities. They move the totes, typical bit of totes, 60 multiply 40. They bring to the shelves, to the buffer, and then they consolidate the totes from the shelves to the flow racks to enable very fast loading of the cars. So what we have seen, at least, let's say, a bit of understanding what technology is it, that this is running on the floor, that it covers, in fact, 2 processes. First, let's say, taking from the conveyor, placing to the shelves, means buffering. And in a second step, taking from the buffer and consolidating into the flow racks to enable the operators then very quickly load the crates with the bags to the car for delivering to the customers. So a little bit improvisation, let's say, in the process as it should be. So now let's say me finishing, giving over Jan. So understanding a little bit the technology, correct, the process, and looking at those 6 factors. So we were able to implement, let's say, including the pilot, 6 months plus 3 months implementation. We are able to scale it up. So we built it up in summer last year. And as the warehouse has been growing, we do every 6 months enlargement of the solution by adding robots that you do not need to pay the full investment at the beginning. We tested quite long 2 factors, availability of the system and performance, and there are also 2 key metrics we measure, and we have also contracted, means we are, let's say here, served by Brightpick, mostly looking at those 2 factors as the process has to be continuous, 6 days a week, 18 hours a day, of course with the peaks both during the day and during the week. So reliability is here represented by those 2 factors, and we are 99.5% above in both availability and performance. Throughput, very important point, because you select technology, correct, in a way that you get a throughput. So not each and every technology can deliver the same speed, same volume, means same throughput. So in our case, we found the setup and simulated the setup that in a multiplication of robots gives us the number of movements during hour or in each and every hour and during the day to cover the demand curve as we expect. So we can easily handle 1,000 totes a day through the system, and we can even scale it up or we can even scale it down if you would be losing the business or if your business would be seasonal. So you might also flexibly react during the day on volume and throughput you need. The product itself is the Brightpick, and Jan will be talking about, and the costs. So yes, at the end, the business case has to work, correct? And you have, let's say, 2 different purchase options. You either, let's say, let's simulate, calculate, and then you purchase a certain, let's say, solution, certain number of robots as your property, and you depreciate, or you buy the service as we are used to last many years when the branch talking about solution as a service, robotation as a service. So yes, we use in our relation with the Brightpick a service model, means we pay per activity, per movement, and then on monthly basis we simply pay the services which are delivered during the months. So in this case, we even selected not to purchase, but let's say using the service model. So here, several options, how also support the business case. On one side, you might be looking very much on contribution margin 1, so operational result, then you better depreciate. Or let's say you improve your efficiency in a way that the service that is coming as your non-personal cost to the contribution margin 1 is still, let's say, much lower than the personal cost you would save. And then the business case and view on your company might work as well. So the point here is you have already several options on the market how to finance, let's say, your solution you decide for. And this is, by the way, also what Brightpick offers to the customer, in this case us as well. And in that particular case, we decided to take the service model for the project in Munich. And also, by the way, we have been rolling that out now to Frankfurt, to Berlin, to Wien, and we use the service model as well. Now, giving over to Jan, telling a little bit now from the side of integrator, supplier, let's say, how they have been serving, let's say, our processes with what value added.
Oh, thank you, Aleš. So first of all, let me also thank Rohlik and Aleš specifically. They have been, great partner for us in the entire process. So Brightpick was founded, just 2 years ago, fundamentally like a spin-off from another company I have founded, with the vision to create simply the most efficient fulfillment. And over the years, we somehow understood that we want to target 3 verticals. One is e-grocery, where Rohlik is our biggest and favorite customer. third-party logistics, and classical e-commerce. You could tell that there's some differences, as we already discussed, temperature zones and other aspects. But fundamentally, you are talking about, very difficult problem to solve. And I think many of you understand that, there's a lot of goods somewhere in the warehouse, and there's no simple way how to create orders out of it. Simply, it requires some motion, usually some walking. Pickers has to walk, and some picking using, your brain and your hands. And we decided that we have a recipe how to do very efficient way how to do this. So we founded Brightpick, and we are trying to automate most of the processes in the warehouse. Currently, Rohlik is using AutoStore as one of our potential competitors, but also very good system which optimize the density. In our system, we optimize little different properties, and mainly for smaller companies or companies that really rely on some kind of agility. The key word here is really mobile robotics, and let me explain what I mean by that. Human picker in the warehouse, it's so flexible because it has legs, hands, and brain, and actually 2 robotic arms, with 21 degrees of freedom, very good hands. And simulating human picker is very, very difficult. Even today, it's extremely difficult. But we decided to combine 3 different technologies: mobile robotic platform, our AI and 3D vision, and our own robotic arm. And we've got, solution that is able to pick, manipulate totes, and in principle serve multiple processes in the warehouse. And why I'm telling this is that if you have a solution that is purely based on mobile robotics, you can introduce that solution very quickly. The last warehouse was 3 months. The first production warehouse was 3 months. The new one now, it's probably a few weeks. So I think this is a really big deal that, I call it time to automation. If you decide that you are going to automate, but your provider will tell you that, okay, we can do it in 1 year, you know that you are losing money entire year. You should calculate the return on investment from the moment you decide it, not from the moment where you started to implement. So, and there's much more cost connected to that. So imagine, for example, you have different peak seasons. E-commerce, we all know how it works. Our solution is able to help you to really, mirror that given throughput. Of course, it's not like we are shipping you a robot every day, that's not possible. But there's ways how you can scale the solution on, I would say, quarterly basis is perfectly fine. And even monthly. We have seen even monthly people are telling that, yes, I need 3 additional robots. And it's important to realize that if that robot is perfectly standalone, that is super important. That really means that I would push the robot here, connect it to the Wi-Fi, and that's it. It's connected to the fleet and it's helping. So, of course, it's still not as flexible as humans, but simply mobile robotics is the next generation of automation because it's just more flexible and more powerful, and you do not rely on fixed infrastructure. Very honestly, I hate conveyor belts. I'm not sure how is it with you, but usually that means that I cannot talk to Aleš because there's a conveyor belt between us, like I cannot pass, and similar things. Simply, conveyor belt is a great tool for solving some of the problems. But mobile robotics is really changing this. And I would say we were able to prove that historically, mobile robotics had issue with throughput. That was something that Aleš was mentioning. Because simply that agility of that mobile robot, cannot match, like I can do this, I'm very flexible. But today, AI and advancement in robotics is matching, in principle, human performance and enabling all of these. So, as we already discussed, there's multiple processes. I probably don't want to go into the details, but in general, these robots are able to handle cases, totes, and pieces, like a real piece picking. And so far, the biggest success between Rohlik and Brightpick is in the dispatch area. We of course hope that we will go also into the picking side by side with AutoStore. But the main goal of this entire installation was that or the biggest success is that now Rohlik decided to roll out their solution to multiple warehouses. So we will do more of them. I'm not sure if I can name. And that is, big success. And as I said, today Rohlik is our biggest customer. So just to very quickly, wrap it up, we can tell that yes, robots are not here to exactly replace people. That's not the purpose. But ultimately, it is leading to labor reduction, and that is still the largest cost reduction you can expect. Mainly in Western countries, you see salaries, hourly salaries going around 20 to 25 euros. And in that case, that business case start to be very obvious. We have seen customers who had a return on investment below 1 year. And I think that is already very powerful. And also going back to the topic Aleš started, I'm not sure if you heard about robotics as a service. In principle, you hire robots instead of people, let's say it like that. Of course, still not as flexible, probably matching the performance, but the biggest thing is that you don't need to own the robot. You don't need to, like I'm always asking that question. You as an e-commerce business, is there any motivation for you to own, let's say, Brightpick robot? What you will do with that robot in 5 years or 10 years? There's always some way how to do this. And I think if we own the robot, we can ensure that it's always upgraded to the newest version. And maybe even more important for you and also Rohlik is that robotics as a service is, in principle, in the way we do it, it's purely performance-driven business model. It is telling we are obliged to deliver the given performance. And I think that is, kind of big promise. That really means that we are updating system quite often. We are improving it very often. We keep all the robots in the right condition. And that really means that you can almost forget about fulfillment, of course, and dispatch. Of course, it's not like that, but we are trying to be that partner that ensures that you don't need to care about it. Something that people may not see is something I call digital warehouse. I don't want to be very offensive, but I guess many of you with the manual processes, the warehouse is a little messy. Things are on the ground. It's a little messy, and this digital version of the warehouse allows you. If people tell that we want to be more digital, we want to use AI, but you probably cannot use some of those tools if your warehouse is too messy. Simply that doesn't work very well together. Simply it has to be built from bottom up. And this really allows you to have almost perfect tracking of cases, totes, anything. Today, our solution is in principle perfectly digital. There's no, there's simply the database is mirroring the reality, like one-to-one mapping in principle perfectly. And ultimately, everyone is really fighting for more satisfied customers. In this case, the biggest topic is really like if Rohlik is able to deliver on time, complete orders, and make those customers happy. And I would say this is even bigger challenge compared to typical e-commerce customers. Of course, there are some, deadlines and so on. But Rohlik is delivering, in many cases, below 3 hours, if I remember correctly. And that really means that from the moment the customer is ordering, the entire process, including delivery, has to happen in 3 hours. So you can imagine that technology has to work very well. Otherwise, something will not work. And of course, all this is also helping with in principle going higher. Like the robot can reach to 3 to 4 meters, not like human, which is maybe 180 or something like that. So ultimately, you are going to save even more space. And again, connected to the digital warehouse, it's very easy to extend. So you can extend throughput and you can extend also capacity. So in our case, as you have seen in the video, which was very short, but hopefully you can see it, we are using standard shelving. There's nothing special about it. You go to EBE and you can purchase the shelving and use with our system. And that really means that you can extend that system anytime. In principle, you build another aisle of the system. We do mapping using lidars, and probably it's like 2-hour process to extend the warehouse by another aisle. And that would be all from my side. I just want to maybe at the end tell where I started. I feel that now is really time where robotics is very accessible. Maybe it's better if Aleš would tell that, but we see a lot of customers who have absolutely no experience with robotics, and they are able to implement system very quickly, and simply the time is now. It is obvious that most of the warehouses will be almost fully automated in 10 years. I think that's obvious. I'm not willing to discuss that one. What needs to be discussed, like, is the technology mature enough, efficient enough, and reliable enough that you can do it today? And I'm telling yes.
Where do you see automation headed in the future for the retail and e-grocer market?
So, we have it in DNA, correct? So we are a little bit predominant to be active in that area if we want to survive and be successful. So we definitely look for 2025 to have fully automated warehouse from the inbound to the outbound. And of course, it will consist of several technologies because anyhow, the processes, although they are linked, they request, let's say, different solutions. So yes, that will be very soon. It will be combination of different technologies. It will be very much driven by planning and steering softwares with any kind of alarming notification and AI behind, let's say, already preactively telling what to do and how to react if any situation happens. And I'm looking forward maybe next time showing you up rather a 20 minutes video with the fully automated warehouse and then answering your question instead of, let's say, giving you some, theoretical inputs as we were sharing today.
Awesome, thank you.
Thank
What
you
do
very
you think?
much.
If I can, when Aleš is telling that, it's going to happen. Like it's like, seriously. I know the warehouse. They are very close to have fully automated warehouse. Of course, we have to add, there's going to be few people, of course, but still, I think they are pushing the boundaries quite far. Even today, it's probably, 80% of processes are automated even today.
Exactly. It's easier for me to say, because when I compare the companies I was working before for, then we were, let's say, at the beginning. By Rohlik, we were at the beginning as well in 2020, 2021, but now we are already at the age of 60 to 80% of all processes being automated. So still I need to run to 100%, maybe 1 year more, but you're right, it's easier for me because I am already as where I am. But definitely I need you and also the other companies as well to support, otherwise it would never be possible to make it happen.
The future is now. Thank you for building it.